Hi, I'm Jonathan,
And I'm Jennifer.
and you're watching A Well-Traveled Life.
Where we will do cool projects around the house.
Travel the world.
Here's to the journey. Welcome to our Well-Traveled Life. I have a really exciting interview I've done today. Krzys was a youth exchange student through Rotary. In 2014-2015, he lived in Texas for a year as a 16-year-old kid in high school. And we got to know him and absolutely fell in love with this young man. He is brilliant, he is bright, he is kind. Jonathan and I have both been really involved in Rotary for over a decade. And it's through the Rotary Youth Exchange program that we've met Krzys and so many other amazing young people. If you'd like more information about Rotary Youth Exchange, please check out the description below and we'll have a link there for you. But it's an amazing program that connects people around the world and makes us feel when things happen, it's not just happening on a map, it's happening in our homes with our friends. Youth exchange experience you had first through Rotary in Texas, and then you continued your exchange through Rotary with a stay in Brazil, and then you had your college experience, which you opted to do a university program that took you all over the world. France first, Nice, and then Los Angeles, and then Singapore. Can you talk about those experiences and what you learned from them and how one sort of prompted you to continue that international residential experience?
Of course, I do believe that it was a smooth, constant process because most certainly I would not decide to choose my university if it was not for Texas. And in fact, 1 year before Texas, my first big trip was to Australia for 5 weeks. And I think that gave me confidence and go for an exchange. But what's interesting is I really did believe that at the time when I was going for an exchange, the main benefit is going to be I'm going to learn the language because I wanted to pursue an international career. But in the end, what I did learn was just priceless. And even though I'm 23 years old today, it was still the most valuable year in a sense that
Wow.
I don't think there was a single year when I learned as much as during that year.
So what did you learn? What was so big?
I was 16 when I went for exchange, and that's generally the time when I think a lot of people change, their personalities shape. But in my case, the change, it was so quick and rapid because when we are put into such different situation around different people, different culture, and to be honest, Texas, which I actually had no control of choosing, it was very different than what I did know back home, especially with my first host family, which was 25 years in the military, very Republican, very religious.
Yeah.
That was a completely different point of view. And as much as we put ourselves into such different situations, it's the most valuable thing because it broadens our horizons like nothing else.
Yeah.
In Texas, the change was spectacular.
Yeah.
First moment when I was in Texas, I realized, okay, things are working differently here. I really need to fit in. I really need to be smiling, be excited, because otherwise I'm just not going to survive. It was a very good thing. I did believe that most of the people don't really have that many interesting things to offer for me, whether it's knowledge or anything else. Now I believe that there isn't a single person in the world that I cannot learn anything from them. And I love talking and I love meeting other people and I love different cultures. And I think I'm exactly the opposite of what I had been. I don't know any other people who did change literally 180 degrees the other way on such an important, actually fundamental, I believe, characteristic.
What made France so amazing?
Oh, I did love France before coming to France. I think it was just my subconscious thought. I'm totally into culinary arts and I have always been. I always thought of France as this origin. I like classic things, and to know that classic French cuisine has actually influenced almost every single cuisine in Europe. The main reason is the culinary arts, but then there is this culture, the fashion, the beauty. I believe that it's things that we imagine, but we can find them in most of the countries, even in less popular places in the world. I was positively surprised especially coming to Nice, because in Poland we hear that French people are this or that, but in Nice, people were so nice. They were so open. I think it's because it's such a touristic place. Rarely did I experience such an welcoming and open people as in Nice. Maybe in Los Angeles I did, but in Los Angeles, people are extremely open. But at the same time, it's difficult to make close friends. In France, people were just, maybe it was mainly at my university, but people were very welcoming.
You really felt like a lot of the relationships that you experienced in California were transactional, where it's sort of like, I'm friends because there's some benefit to me, or if I can do something for you, because you can do something for me, that's sort of where the relationship gets its legs.
Right. To one extent, I mean, to a certain extent, it's unfortunate that this is how it works. But on the other hand, I think it's 100% understandable, taking into account how California in general, or Los Angeles in particular, is supposed to be this land or place where dreams come true. And the truth is that most of the people, I believe, are more disappointed rather than can really fulfill their dreams in a way they imagine it, because it's a very expensive place with so many immigrants. And the truth is that there are amazing people who make it, but at the same time, if you go to the center of the city, it looks like a very poor country, a little bit like a refugee camp. And I remember after 3 or 4 months, that was my first time going to downtown from Westwood, where UCLA, so my university was. And that was a bit shocking. Plus, since I worked in the restaurant, I picture life in Los Angeles as there are two sides of life. There is the life in the front alleys and in the back alleys. So if you go through Beverly Hills and there are those beautiful streets, every single one has a back alley where there are all the immigrants, including me. And again, just like with Texas, it's extremely enriching because it's something that I would have never done anywhere else, especially working in kitchens. I worked in 2 restaurants, first at UCLA campus, the second one in Beverly Hills. And it was very interesting to me how many people found it very surprising why I was working in the kitchen, since culinary arts is obviously my passion. That's all that I cared about. But working in a kitchen was perceived as a very difficult job, and unfortunately being very stereotypical, but this is how people thought process works. It's me being okay looking, nothing wrong with me, knowing the language, being white, work in the front. Why would you work in a kitchen? And throughout the whole year, I've been working with maybe 30, 40 different people, and I was always the only white person, which only further shows the problem of Los Angeles. If it wasn't for the year in Los Angeles, probably my restaurant also wouldn't happen. I think there is this American concept, which is not popular in Europe at all, or in Poland, that people do work when they are young. So they can be 15, 16, and they might even have wealthy parents, but they are still going to work. In my case, it was teaching me to wash dishes and to know how to organize a restaurant, the whole cleaning, the whole preparation, every single step. You really have to work every single position. And I don't think it's possible to be a good manager or good owner without knowing every single detail about the operations.
Thanks for sticking with us so far. If you've liked what you've heard and you've enjoyed meeting Krzys, like us, subscribe to our channel, and meet all of the people that we're going to be bringing to you.